right down the street from Bill's training camp, which took place earlier this morning. And then we hung out and talked to a bunch of players after practice. We're here thanks to Dunkin' Donuts and Adidas Performance Sunwear. Armen and Levack's second annual training camp tour. ESPN's Mike Rodak, who covers the Buffalo Bills, with us today, hanging out for a little bit. And Mike, today at practice, Ty Lawson, linebacker, or Ty Powell, Ty Lawson plays basketball. Ty Powell, linebacker, goes down for the Bills. How significant is the injury, and how significant is his absence from this team?
Well, it's probably a torn ACL. That's pretty much all but confirmed right now.
It looked bad when it happened.
Right. They just need to get an MRI and really confirm that. And once they do, he's done for the season. That's pretty much the procedure with an ACL.
We saw him trying to walk up the stairs, and he could not walk up the stairs.
Two guys helping him, clearly not working well.
Put him in the car on the way to the hospital.
Yeah,
Stinks.
that's pretty much I think where we're at with him.
All right, so how big of a loss is Ty Powell at linebacker?
Well, you go back to the Kiko Alonso trade, and when they traded him, they had great depth at linebacker. They had Preston Brown, they had Bradham, they had Kiko Alonso, they had Ty Powell. Brandon Spikes was still potentially in the mix if they re-signed him, and then you had undrafted guys after that. But now, obviously, you traded Alonso. Now Ty Powell's done for the season. Brandon Spikes, if you want to re-sign him, but he had the issue with it wasn't a DUI, but there was a 3 a.m. crash in Boston where he claimed he hit a deer. It was actually a car. I often mix those things up myself.
Sure. Happens all the time. Yeah. It might have been a bird, might have been a person. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
whatever.
Right. So,
sweet, man.
I mean, maybe the Bills consider bringing him back, but I would say it's unlikely at this point. So, Ty Powell's gone, let's say. Now your next guy up, Tony Stewart, your 6th-round pick out of this draft. Special teamer at Clemson.
Pretty good at driving race cars, though.
Yeah, he's pretty good, unless he's Canandaigua. Down the street.
Oh,
cheese and rice. That's good.
Probably too soon in that one. I mean, obviously a tragic incident. I want to joke about it, but
but honestly, when we were driving here, go past the sign, I'm like, oh, that's Tony Stewart.
I mean, forever, that's what that racetrack's going to be known for.
Yeah.
But again, you have Tony Stewart, you have A.J. Tarpley, undrafted guy out of Stanford. Rex said he's very smart, likes what he's seen so far. He had a very good OTA, minicamp as well, and he's come on during training camp. So he potentially could be your number 3 linebacker, an undrafted rookie. So, I mean, you're going to run into an issue if Preston Brown or Nigel Bradham goes down, but you do have 2 promising young guys behind him right now.
Wow. Oh, hot question, though. Where does this leave IK and Impali?
This guy's going to make the team, isn't he?
He's going to make the team, but I would say less because of the Ty Powell ACL and more because of the Jarris Wynn ACL, because where they played IK in the game on Friday was defensive end. So he was more of a linebacker with the Jets. I think they're looking at him more as a down lineman for the Bills, so like an edge rusher, and they're pretty thin there as well. I mean, they haven't really drafted somebody at that position in a while. And you have obviously Jerry Hughes, Mario Williams, they're great. Beyond that, Alex Carrington they brought back. He's not a great pass rusher, and then really Ike is your number 4 defensive end right now. So they're having a few guys in for visits today. Red Bryant's a bigger defensive tackle, very good player for the Seahawks, but also Marcus Bernard, Quentin Groves, 2 veteran defensive ends. So that's competition for IK, but I don't think either of those guys for this time really push him too seriously for the job.
So is he good? Is IK and Impali, is he good?
I mean, I don't think Rex would have claimed him if he wasn't good. I think Rex drafted him for a reason. He claimed him for a reason. He has the skills. It's just keeping himself out of trouble. He had the issue in college by punching an off-duty cop, and obviously last week. So
thought he was a deer.
Yeah, I thought he was a deer. Again, we all make that mistake ourselves.
Yeah. But what has the reception been for IK? Because as I'm sitting there today, and we're all the media, we're talking to various people, he's walking towards the locker room, and there's a contingent of fans, I'd say about 6 guys, with free IK signs, and they're chanting, and he looked completely uncomfortable. Like, is the reception for him very positive? Is he going to be able to handle the spotlight that's on him as you see it so far?
There's obviously football fans and NFL fans in general. They can put the blinders on, and if let's put it this way, if IK had gone to the Patriots, do you think they'd be supporting him like that, or they'll be making fun of him like that? Bills fans would.
Oh God!
And there's probably the same fans that are making fun of him when it happened with the Jets, before he got claimed by the Bills. So it's just sort of, he's on our team. We're going to support him. We're just going to ignore his background. I think that's the mentality that goes into that. But there's definitely a section of fans that I think think about it more deeply. Mark Polinkars is the Erie County executive, so he's in charge of Erie County. He negotiates the stadium deals with the Bills, and he came out with a tweet right after they claimed him, basically saying he was embarrassed, for his he was a season ticket holder. He's embarrassed to see the Bills claim him. So there's people out there, I think, that really question the move. But there's also your group of hardcore fans who just don't care.
And Rex doesn't care either.
Rex doesn't care.
It's his team, it's his world, and that's why he's here, too.
Right.
Well, Rex made fun of him today.
Right.
In the huddle with the two teams before, he said no fighting. He looked right at IK.
Oh, yeah. That was the word out of that huddle. So, I mean, there's a level of levity, really, from Rex with the whole thing that kind of shows you how he perhaps feels about Gino.
ESPN's Mike Rodak with Armen and Levack. We're live at the Back Nine Grill right down the street from where the Bills had practice earlier today. Armen and Levack, second annual training camp tour thanks to Adidas Performance Sunwear and Dunkin' Donuts. Who is the biggest surprise that's going to get cut here when you whittle it down to the 53-man roster within the next 2 to 3 weeks?
Honestly, I think there's very little intrigue when you look at this 53-man roster. Like, I did one, I think, over the weekend, and I'm sitting there, and I'm like, who are the tough cuts? There wasn't really any big names. I think the really surprise cut would be EJ. If they go down that route and they decide that we're just going to cut the cord and we're going to move on, that would obviously be a surprise cut. But elsewhere in the roster, there's nobody who maybe a couple months ago I thought would be making the team who has slipped enough where I don't think they're going to make it anymore. So it's actually going to be a pretty quiet, late August for this team when they make final cuts.
Mike, when you're looking at this team, I mean, we did Giants camps a little while ago. Again, we said the offensive line for the Giants, they're big guys. But the Bills' offensive line, they're mountains. Like, each one of them is bigger than the guy before them. They're so big, but are they any good?
In a lot of cases, no. I mean, that was the MO under Doug Marrone, is that he wanted to bring in as big offensive linemen as he possibly could find. And they were bringing in guys to the practice squad who were 350 pounds, and they weren't that great. I mean, they couldn't move. They weren't mobile. They worked for his power scheme, but Greg Roman's scheme is a lot more complex in the running game, a lot of pulling by the guards and the tackles, a lot of screen passes where those guys need to get out to the outside. So, yeah, you can have a big guy like Cordy Glenn, Chantrell Henderson are both pretty big tackles, big guard, Steele Richardson, but you need those guys to move. So this Bills offensive line last year was pretty bad. I'm not sure how much better it will be this year, and you point right to some of those guys. I mean, Chantrell Henderson needs to step it up. Eric Wood needs to step it up, had a very questionable year last year. Steele Richardson struggled when he played. So there's some holes along that line where you can have big guys. You can have 400-pound guys. It's not going to help you that much.
Incognito fits in well, doesn't he?
He does. I mean, that's the mentality around here, right?
Yeah.
He's the exact type of player that Rex wanted. And, I mean, he's had a good camp so far. He's stayed mostly healthy. Had the ankle injury last week. He's back now. And, he looked pretty good in the game Friday night. And that left guard starting job is his.
And he more or less kind of implied that he's a leader of sorts on this team because of how young they are.
Right, exactly. And he was back on his team, you think in 2009. He's friends with Eric Wood, and Eric Wood is a team captain, so those two guys sort of, let's say, offensive captains together. But I wouldn't be shocked if Richie becomes a captain this year, really just because of that veteran leadership. You look at the rest of the offense, it's young. I mean, if you start Matt Castle, that's an older guy. But Fred Jackson, Eric Wood, who else is really a veteran on that offense?
But is that a bad look to put the guy that was the face of bully
wanted to build a bully?
2 years later, make him your captain? Is that a bad look?
Let's say it happens. What I think the way Rex would spin it would be that we feel like this guy's changed, and we feel like he has the leadership to run our offense and to be a captain. So.
Wow. ESPN's Mike Rodak with Armen in the back. Dude, this is fun, man. Thanks for coming by.
Definitely.
You a garbage plate guy?
I had one in Rochester last week, and
it tore you up, right?
I need a pretty solid recovery from that. It was, it was 2 a.m. Let's talking right now, but it was pretty rough.
Well, we were talking today about our drive back last year after the garbage plate.
Yeah, windows open.
It was a very memorable experience.
Yeah,
Mike, thanks for spending so much time with us today, man. At Mike Rodak on Twitter, and of course ESPN, ESPN.com has worked for the Buffalo Bills. Thanks for being here, man. Really appreciate it.
Definitely. Thanks for having me on.